Is this good?
Mm-hmm. And 3, 2, 1. Yo, what is poppin' YouTube fam? This is JMU, to where when you start being proactive, you become attractive. So, we got the previous guests that have been on the channel. This time we're going to get both of their takes in terms of their own personal thoughts and opinions when it comes to dating, women, and whatnot. So, with that being said, I guess we're going to start off with, let's just start off with Mr. Longhair over here in terms of preference. Let's see. Do you got a preference for when it comes to dating the ladies, right? Do you have a particular preference for, let's say, age, for example?
Yeah. Can't be below. I'm 25. First off, that's relevant. Can't be below 21.
Can't be below 21?
21, like too young. Otherwise, it's based off like life experiences and where I'm at, what I want to do as far as like spiritually, especially like some people just don't know themselves and they want to have like a exploration phase, and that's just not.
Mm-hmm.
I want to explore, but not in that way. Like
so, is there an age cap then?
Age cap? Yeah, probably 28.
Okay, so about between 21 and 28. Okay, 7 years, not a bad age range. Okay, so you want them to be old enough to drink, but at the same time,
not even necessarily drinking. Just like I said, like just on the same spiritual and mental level is the main thing.
Imagine chicks at 21, focusing on spiritual and
well, true. It's just a security thing, most of all, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
What about you, Pedro?
Yeah. What about you?
I think I preferably, well, when it comes to age for women, I preferably for them to be a little bit younger than me. Reason being is that
how old are you?
I'm 30 right now, so somewhere maybe like I'll say like the maximum will be like 25 or 22, 25. Yeah,
max is 22.
Oh, that's the minimum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like 22. I'll still go for girls that are younger than me. 28, 29 at the age. But I do rarely see women that are very older than me. That's very rare. There's some actually women that are like about like they hit the marker at about like early 40s. Like that's how I wrote, like for me, but it's very rare. It's very rare. Like I came across a female. She was like about 37 years old, and she's in the gym, and she looks really nice.
Hence, what going to the gym, taking care of yourself does, but most women don't do that. Let's keep it a buck.
Yeah.
Because they're hot shit in their 20s, so they don't have to.
Exactly.
Right? Most people don't improve if they don't have to. Yeah. That's typically how that works.
Yeah.
You know what that's called when it comes to hitting the peak, right? Hitting
hitting the wall.
Hitting the wall. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, and that's why I think a lot of relationships don't work out, is because ideally you want to be in a mind state where you want to find somebody to improve with. So if you're just trying to improve yourself and somebody's stagnant, like it's just not going to work. You're going to leave them behind, or they're going to leave you behind.
Well, think of it this way, right? If you were at your just peak value up front, the moment you hit the age of adulthood, would you really see the need to do better? Would you see the need to improve?
Oh, no.
If you were just at your peak, just the moment you graduated high school?
Yeah.
Because the world's your oyster, you already got it going on.
Yeah.
You have the world in the palm of your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you need to do more?
Yeah.
Remember, human beings are an incentivized species. We're only going to do what we're incentivized to do. If there's no incentive to do so, we're likely not going to do it.
But that's where dreams come in, and that's another good thing to have, dreams.
Well, except everybody thinks they can just have all of their dreams come true nowadays, despite how little effort they put in.
Yeah.
Because we're all special, right? But we all know how that goes. Yeah. But anyway, okay. So you prefer more chicks between 21, 28, and you is more of like 25 at the max. Is there a minimum for you?
Yeah, I mean, like for me, like if she's younger, right, younger than me or young, as long as she's younger than me, that's perfectly fine, But for me, like the ideal will be like maybe like 5 to 10 year difference. You know, that's what I prefer. You know, 25 will be probably hit right on marker, or pretty much, you know, early on from that point. But not to disregard any woman that's older than me. You know, I rarely see women that like very beautiful. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a 37-year-old chick that literally works out like at the gym, and those rarely come like in places.
And she's probably not single either.
Yeah.
That was the other one.
Personally, or is this just somebody?
This is somebody that I will see once in a while, like at the gym.
Okay. Talk to him, or-
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk, you know, as in like, you know, greetings and stuff like
Formalities,
that.
okay.
Yeah, formalities and stuff. But yeah, I'll say like age. When it comes to women at age, you know, you can either age as wine or you can either age as milk.
And
So-
I have to preface this by saying age doesn't necessarily mean, you know, the whole correlation isn't always causation either, because I know why a lot of us would prefer younger chicks, because the younger she is, the less likely she is to be on the streets a lot less, right? Which means less experience, less trauma, less guys, and all that. That isn't always the case. Take, you know, there are some people that are older, but they've been in these crazy long-term 7 to 10 or 11 year relationships, and then they kind of got out of that relationship. So that doesn't necessarily mean, you know, such as that. But, you know, that's where you got to kind of have to do your due diligence, and that's where the nuance kind of sets in. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you could even say somebody that has had that more long-term relationship, maybe they've been in a relationship with that person so long that where they're just kind of tailored to that man, and that man is kind of tailored to her, to where, you know, that may not even be something that you would even want to go down, even though she's only had one body, if she's been with that one person for 11 or 10 to 15 years, like she's too used to that guy. Type of thing. Like, you know, that could come with its own share of problems as well.
Yeah, in my experience, it's usually hell.
So you've experienced that.
Well, yeah. Girls that get out of long-term relationships, usually they're still tied up in some way or another. And it's important to recognize those red flags and actually be just confrontational and have a conversation about, like, do you still have feelings for this person in the past?
Yeah, I mean,
And
fair
it's fine
enough.
if they do, but don't like waste my time.
And I don't even think it's really so much a red flag. It's just that's all they know, right? That man and how they lived and all that stuff. That's just all they know. They don't know anyone else, which isn't their fault. But, you know, I don't deserve to get punished for it either.
Yeah.
You know.
That's why that like conversation is important, because sometimes like they don't even realize, because people don't self-reflect and know if they're ready for something or not. They'll jump into it even if they're not, because they just want to experience it.
Oh yeah, I mean, lack of self-awareness is rampant amongst the masses. But for me personally, when it comes to age, I think the lowest for me, 20. Right? I can't see myself getting with a teenager.
Hell no. Are you 30?
Yeah, I'm 30.
Yeah, no, that'd be really bad.
So me and Pedro over here, we're both 30. So
Yeah, no, that'd be weird. If you
yeah, I don't mean I probably could, but it just feels weird, right? My youngest sibling is 20. She's 26, right? And before, I always had this thing to where it's, if you are younger than my sister's age, then it's kind of weird to me. But then I'm over time, I opened up a little bit more to it. Still, 20 at the very earliest.
Yeah,
I'm about to start going up to 21 at the very earliest, honestly. You know, if I can't take you to a bar, if I can't take you to a bar and go out for one drink, you know, then that might be a wrap for me. But, you know, so, okay, I think we know where we all stand when it comes to age.
I mean, the thing about all that is, like, it's really dependent on the situation. You could run into, like, a 20-year-old person that's very mature in many ways, and it doesn't matter about the whole drinking thing, and that clicks. The same way for, like, the old, not old, but, like, somebody that's older than you. But
And
yeah,
it really
usually-
depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah, for me,
But
I would actually.
again,
prefer
you can
around the
have
same age.
you can have the 30-year-old that's been one person for 10 years, and then you can have a 20-year-old that's been around the block already that's already racked up 30 bodies before they even graduated.
So,
Yeah.
it's people. Everybody's different. But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a trend. There is a trend for that though.
And speaking of bodies, that's the next one. Body count. Let's go. Let's go.
yeah.
No, so like, do you got a preference in terms of body count, or is it like not? Is it
I
like?
really
Is
don't
it
know.
an Is it like a?
Frankly, I'd really not know. I'm not gonna stalk the Twitter. Not gonna stalk or not Twitter. I'm not gonna stalk her anything because that's hell. Not gonna look through her phone.
You really,
That's asking for hell. Not gonna ask the body count. That's hell.
I don't want to like interrupt, but like, do you really think like females tell like the honest, like you think they're honest about their body count? Like, if you were to ask her, like, hey,
No. I'm just gonna stop you right there. No.
You can't even tell a direct question about that either. You know, you'll have to figure it out yourself. You know, you can't be like, I wonder.
There's literally no point of asking
Some are
because
very comfortable with it. If you have that kind of relationship, I can see it.
I'm just gonna tell you up front.
Yeah.
Asking is a waste of time. One,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get a straight answer.
Yep.
Two, they may not answer you at all.
Mm-hmm.
3, they may lie to you.
Yeah.
4, they may just get pissed at you and you get labeled a bunch of stuff and the date's over.
Yeah.
So it like no scenario
Benefit.
it will be a benefit to you, and you just waste your time. Imagine, right? You spend 2 weeks. I mean, you should not be spending 2 weeks talking to a girl before you meet them.
Yeah.
If you have to spend 2 weeks, something's wrong.
Yeah.
But you spend a couple of days talking to this girl, or whatnot. You finally get her out, and then you just blow the whole thing up by asking that question. Doesn't feel too good. That's a lost investment right there. But
I was talking about like more like to actually date and coalesce. Would you want to ask that question?
there's just no point,
Yeah.
right?
And, like,
There's literally no point.
There's no point.
There's other ways you can tell, like not a particular number, but
Just look
there's
at
like
Instagram.
certain behaviors that they'll
Yeah.
exhibit to where
Yeah.
if they've been with enough people, then stuff like this starts to show.
What if you can just look at their Instagram? Can you judge by looking at somebody's Instagram?
No, not really, but I mean, if they got their ass all over the place, I'm serious. Like you
No,
can look at
listen,
you can
yeah,
look at
it's
an
like,
Instagram chick
I'll
and she's
pretty
got her
much-
ass
yeah.
all over the internet and
That-
all that stuff, and that may not mean anything.
Yeah.
But are you gonna roll the dice and find out?
Oh no.
Exactly. It's like why would you even roll the dice?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just the perception is everything. Even like let's just say you ignored all of that and you proceeded and she just turns out to not, let's just say she's not a hoe for all intents and purposes, right? You're attached to this woman with this public Instagram page
Yeah.
with all this stuff going on.
Yeah.
Do you just want to have that attached to you?
Oh no.
Well, it's just gonna make you insecure or have trust issues.
Well, it's not even just the
Yeah.
insecure. It's like
You're pretty much your status.
like
is
when you go to your
you're
parents,
saying-
when you go to your
you're-
parents about it, you go to your friends about it, you go to your coworkers about it, and all this stuff. Just like her digital footprint.
Yeah.
Again, your name is now attached to that digital footprint, and of course that's not gonna make you look good in the long run. Of course that's gonna make you look like the jester or the clown.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about how I appear, but like I definitely wouldn't want other people to see my
most
girlfriend.
definitely, yeah.
No, I
girlfriend
agree.
that way.
I get it, right? Like a lot of us don't care about what strangers think, but we do care a little bit about what our friends and close friends and family think, right?
Naturally.
The ones that we, especially from those whose opinion we actually value highly. You know what I mean? So what kind of so you probably dated, you've had your experience with
Yeah.
the chick. So is there any behaviors that you can think of to where if she's exhibiting certain behaviors that you can just kind of be like, okay, yeah, this girl's probably been around a little bit, or she's been single a little too long.
Yeah.
What are they looking like? What kind of behaviors or traits, or maybe how she moves? Like what are some examples as to what that would look like if you're on a date with a girl, right? What are some of the things that she could do that kind of give you like a little warning sign?
If she drinks a lot, like if she's drinking heavily,
Mm.
like if she's drinking more than you, yeah, that's pretty much. I don't need an alcoholic or someone that needs to drink. You know, I have nothing against drinking, by the way. You know, I think there's like a moderation to everything, but if she's drinking heavily, like, I just don't. It's just a red flag for me,
Bro, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but chicks can hold liquor better than guys nowadays. They just can hold liquor better than guys. It's insane.
Yeah, and you know, there's always like a stigma to drinking, right? Like,
So drinking, okay. Let's say you didn't meet her at a bar, right? Like, let's say you go to her crib, right? You go to her crib, and you're in her fridge, and you just see there's just alcohol in the fridge.
yeah, I mean, like,
Does it matter the type of alcohol? Like, let's say it's just a loose bottle of wine.
So
Versus like, there's like liquor and stuff in there and whatnot.
Yeah. Like if it's just like a 6-pack in there, I wouldn't stress about it. But if there's like the whole refrigerator, like nothing but alcohol.
That's half
that's like
bottle.
that's already giving me a clear sign, that okay, this girl drinks like,
She drinks alcohol like it's water.
Like it's water, and we don't, they always try to link alcohol to like, mental issues. They always try to figure out the connections between why this person drinks alcohol.
They are kind of hand in hand.
Like
I think another one
escapism.
also.
Escapism. He just mentioned that.
I think I could add one too. Antidepressants, right?
Yeah.
If you're seeing antidepressants in our bathroom, or if you, let's say you just got done, you had a night with this girl, maybe you spent the night with her, right? You wake up, and her morning routine, she gets the pills out and takes the pills in the morning, type shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that's a guaranteed kind of red flag, but
there's a correlation. But like you could definitely investigate that one specifically further. Whereas other things, it's harder to.
It's just when it's pretty much you recognize it once you see something's like a discrepancy, like something that's unusual. Like for me, that's when I will pay attention to.
I'm gonna give you a really good one that you probably, maybe you know this, maybe you don't. You go to a woman's crib, and y'all about to get busy. She already has condoms. She already has condoms. I'm talking about not a new pack she bought. She goes into her closet or she goes into a drawer and pulls out condoms.
Never been
So a clear sign will say like, "Damn," like she.
For me that's extremely obvious because that means she's fucking. She's used to fucking.
Yeah, she's used to fucking. And now, if I was playing the devil's advocate, I would say like she's trying to play it safe, like she's,
Yeah, but if you, the girl, is supplying, if you have a supply of condoms, man.
That was like my first reaction was like.
No, I'm telling you, man. There's this chick that I used to hook up with on the regular. Like she would go in her closet and she'd have this bucket of all these different condoms. I'm like, oh my. I'm just like,
maybe she had a bucket that she never used.
It's just a bunch of different. It's just a bunch of different ones. Yeah. Just a bunch of different condoms.
She probably went to like one of those sex classes that were hanging out.
She was like 24.
Ooh.
What you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just like, no.
I mean,
the very first time I hooked up with her, and she just goes up in there and just pulls it. I'm like, no.
Why do you have such high standards for somebody like that?
No, not for. Okay, I didn't mind just continuing to hook up with her, but there was no way I was getting in a relationship with her. That was not happening. Recreational use. There you go.
If realistically, like, from all these experiences you've talked about, like, if you're ran through, why do you expect the opposite standards for who you're trying to be with?
Because the things that make a man a hoe or a man hoe are attractive to girls. They're not attractive the other way around when it comes to guys. We value the purity. Women value experience. Mm-hmm. We value inexperience. Right? If a woman is inexperienced, that means she's exercised great chastity, temperance, self-control, self-discipline, All of these things which give you great relationship security. See, women look for physical security in terms of resources, protection, and all that, but we look for relationship security, right? We're looking for they want to know that we can provide for them. We want to know that our investment in that said person is going to be protected, meaning I need to know that the person I'm putting my resources in is not going to go out there and fucking cheat on me.
Yeah, exactly.
Type shit. Because if you cheat on me once, it's over. Period, point blank. Especially if I'm putting my resources into you, right?
Yeah.
You can have people give the double standards all day, every day. Oh, so you should do the same thing. Hey, the difference is I'm providing for you, right? I'm providing for you. I'm putting a roof over your head. You don't even have to fucking work. I've literally retired you.
Yeah.
Right, I retire you. I'm giving you a soft life.
Yeah, I mean, we have different roles for sure.
You know, different roles, but with different roles comes different rules.
Yep, but we should also exercise self-control.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Because if you don't, you could end up in trouble a lot of times. You know, like me having a gun put to the back of his head. Yeah, that whole thing. You know,
that would be a different story if girls actually provide. It would be a whole different story.
Yeah, it's like, you know, hey, if I was a female and a man was gonna provide for me and just give me a soft life, like, I wouldn't care what he's doing when I'm not around. Hey, I don't want to know about it. You know, don't make it obvious. Don't be fucking sloppy. Don't give me no outside babies. Don't bring no STDs. Those are the smart women. The smart women know that kind of stuff. It's like, what? You're giving me vacations. You're giving me cars. You're giving me a house. I don't have to fucking work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'd say that's a pretty good trade-off.
Yeah, most definitely.
You know what I mean? Especially since I got my value up front. It's not like I had to go out and build myself up to get taken care of. I could just get taken care of by the time I turned 18 and keep my fucking legs closed. That's it. You know what I mean?
So you think, this is probably a different question where you're...
No, go for it.
Do you feel like women live easier lives than men? Or...
it depends on what you're talking about.
What life in general, like getting through life, going through adulthood and stuff like that.
Yes, on the front end, but if they don't cash in their chips within a certain time, then their life becomes more difficult.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Meaning, if you sit there and you have all this fun out in the streets and all that stuff, and you either end up getting knocked up out of wedlock, and I'm not talking about just through a long-term relationship, I'm talking about you just out here having fun, and you get knocked up by some chatter Tyrone, you don't know who the father is type shit, that's gonna fuck you up. You get past the age of 35 and you're still single.
Yeah.
Most men, the number one reason they would even consider getting married is to have kids. If you're gonna if you having kids is gonna pose a serious problem, I have no reason to get married to you. So you're fucked there. And on top of that, men are starting to wake up. You know what I mean? More and more men are waking up to the whole thing about, honestly, like for real, if I can keep it a buck with you, right? I would honestly, if I meet a woman, right, and she is 30 plus years of age and she is single, I would honestly kind of consider that within itself as a red flag, right? Because you've had plenty of opportunities to get married, find a man, to put a roof over your head and all that. My first thought is, what have you been doing all this time?
Yeah.
You know, have you just been, especially if you've been chronically single throughout your 20s, that especially. I mean, obviously, again, do your due diligence, figure out if they've been through they have had long-term relationships and they like maybe recently broke up within the past 1 or 2 years. But if they've been single and just been focused on other things, I think that within itself is a red flag because you're not focused. Family was never a priority for you.
Yeah. And
it's like, oh, now when time is running out, now you want to prioritize these things, which is like, no, absolutely not. You know, hey, I want to look for someone who does prioritize family up front, right? Because here's the thing, right? people don't change. Maybe this sounds very pessimistic, right? Or maybe this is a little nihilism, whatever, but people don't really change unless life forces them to change, right? If things aren't broke, people typically don't fix it.
I agree.
Right? So, and why do I say this? I'm saying this because if the time clock was never a factor, and let's say their age doesn't, their looks doesn't just start rapidly fading after 33 or something like that, right? If those things just weren't factors, do you think they would eventually, do you think they would leave hot girl summer if they would just stay hot forever and they didn't have the time clock? If they didn't have the biological clock, do you really think that they would? Do you think that they would stop what they were doing in their early 20s? If life was good and they had all the opportunities, they get flown out, get invited to boats, and all this stuff, they get hit up by people with blue check marks and all that stuff. If they were living that kind of life, right? Without father time being a factor, do you really think that they would get off that at some point?
I don't know.
I think some would realize that lifestyle is a dead end and it's not fulfilling in any way. Especially after years of living through that.
I agree.
But some probably do now. Like, it's just not fulfilling. It's a waste of time.
How long do you think that would take?
Until they start realizing it.
No. How long do you think it will take before they start realizing it?
I mean, I think by
Probably
like
late
20,
stage.
26,
Probably
most girls that are going to quit.
Well, that's... You know why they do that, right?
No.
Because 26, that's when they're starting to be on the ascent of their prime, right? When they're 26 and they've had their fun, they've done the hot girl summer, they've done the carousel and all that BS. Okay, I'm not getting any younger. I need to find a man, find that nice guy. It's typically a nice guy, right? Mm-hmm. To date him for a couple of years so I can put the ring on my finger so I'm married before I'm 30 years of age. Because every woman fears that 30. They fear that 30.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's the social stigma that if they're not married, or at least on their way to the altar by 30, then they're failures or losers or whatever. Okay. And they need to start having kids because obviously the clock's ticking, right? So around 26, 27, that's when a lot of those gals start trying to now start look for something different or start moving different, but they do it just so they can get the ring. They get the ring, get the kids and all that. Ty and Tyrone are going to settle down, so they get the nice guy. That's typically what it is. So the reason why I'm so adamant about, especially when it comes to the age, it feels disingenuous because it feels like it's out of necessity, right? And this is what I'm saying. Hey, if the biological clock was not a factor, if the rapidly decreasing looks after about 32 isn't a factor, they wouldn't have hopped off the train at 26. They would just keep going. Yeah. The only reason they hopped off is because time is starting. Clock's ticking.
Yeah.
If that clock wasn't ticking, they'd stay.
Oh yeah.
That's. I could be wrong.
No, I think you're pretty much hit the mark. I mean, to be honest.
And honestly, to somebody who built themselves up so they can support a family, it's an insult. Right? Because I actually want the family. You're only coming to me because you feel like you have to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, it's more mindset for you when it comes to body count, right? And then for you, did you give a definitive number? I know there's no point in asking, but what body count for you? Like, let's say she was honest for all intents and purposes. If she just gave a number, what number would make you be like, nah, for when it comes to anything long term?
Double digits. If I was to give you a concrete answer, it would be double digits. Anything above double digits.
Fair enough. Because I know with some people, they will say it depends on her age.
But if they're 28, then that's one per year.
If 28 and then one per year.
That's one per year since they've been 18. If they're 28, like, I don't think
Yeah,
That's why
that's-
some people
no,
say it depends on her age.
No,
I
yeah,
agree with that. Yeah.
yeah. I feel like I said, if it's any girl, any age, you know, if it's more than double digits, you know, that's a no for me. You know, even if she's 28, if she has more than 10 bodies on her, you know, that's no.
It just
Okay.
takes like a mental toll.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, now let's go on to. This will probably be very quick, but what is your opinion of dating women that have children, i.e., the single MOMs, the single mothers?
You
I wouldn't. I
Okay.
have no reason to. Unless I'm backed into a corner.
I have dated a single mom.
Okay. How was that experience?
Let's say that it was not my best interest to move forward into that. I look at it this way. I mean, for me, if a guy was to date a single mom, you pretty much have leverage. That was the whole reason why she wanted to date you, was to find a baby daddy, right? I mean,
The stepdaddy.
the stepdaddy, the father that stepped up, right? I feel like, you know, it puts guys in a good position. The reason being is that those are only girls that they can approach to, because they see something where they can date a single mom and at the same time provide their son or their daughter whatsoever. But I feel like it will kind of like give options for a guy to actually date her just because she's a single mom. But no, I will not date a single mom. My reason being is that it will be like a baggage for me. I feel like it will be more responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
responsibility that that you didn't create. But like I said, I feel like there's a trade-off when it comes to single moms.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I feel like they would have to compromise of actually paying the bills, supporting their daughter, their son, and in exchange, they will, oh, okay, I can date you. I can actually, go out to dates and stuff like that. But, that was an incentive for them to do that. So,
Yeah, for them.
for them. But like I know there's one guy that ends up dating a single mom when the reason is that is because he didn't have any options.
So so it's safe to assume if
Yeah.
he had the option to date the same woman with a kid or without a kid,
Yeah.
he would probably pick the one without the kid.
He'll probably pick the one without a kid if he had that option. But if he doesn't have any options, it probably came to a point where he's like, well, this is the best I can get,
So in that case, he's coming at it from a place of scarcity and not abundance.
Yeah.
He's coming at it. So it sounds like he is, on paper, it sounds like he is in the power position, right? But in reality, just for the sheer fact that he is entering a long-term relationship with the said single mother, but within itself says all that she needs to know. Hey, he's here because he, can't really get much else, or it's because you would think that you would be met with less resistance, but there's actually a lot more obstacles, right? There's more. I'm not even gonna say that there's more games that are being played, because I would like to think most mothers are decent mothers and just don't want to continuously just invite a whole bunch of dudes into their children's lives and all that stuff. So it's like, for a good reason, there will be a reason why she doesn't bring you over to her place a lot and things like that. But at the end of the day, I mean, you don't know this person. You don't know what she's like or this, that, or the third. You don't know anything about her life. You haven't hooked up with her, this, that, and you don't even know if she likes you like that. You don't know if she's just using you just to provide something for the kids or something. You know what I mean? You know, you're over here, you're taking her to these dinners, right? And she gets a to-go plate. She goes home and she feeds her kids with that type stuff. Hey, some people do that.
Yeah.
Some people do that.
Yeah.
No, but it does, for some people, it does feel like a thankless job,
Yeah.
right? You're having, it's the expectations. The expectations
It's the
are much higher.
expectations, yeah.
You have to come in and
It's like I'm doing
shell
you a
out
favor.
extra resources that you otherwise wouldn't have to if there was no kid
Yeah.
for the kid, right? And oftentimes, this isn't even really met with gratitude, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes this is just met with just, oh, this is just something you have to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it often just goes just unappreciated a lot of the
Yeah.
times. And
I-
then
yep.
all the cancellations, right? Oh, I didn't have the babysitter canceled on me. Oh, I don't have money to pay for a babysitter. So now you're in a position to where it's like, damn, I want to see this woman, but she doesn't have it. Do I want to shell out the money for her babysitter just so I can see her?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like how deep are you gonna go in the hole?
Yeah,
You know
the
what I'm
bottom
saying?
line is that like you
Yeah.
shouldn't unless you have to. You never have to.
And if you have to, that's a problem. You
The
still
thing
have
is,
a way to
like,
go.
You don't have to. Like you shouldn't do things out of
Yeah.
necessity or something like real or enjoyable.
But, you know, hey, based on the level or the area in life that the man is, he may not have that option, you know what I mean?
He's better off.
Or or it's like, if it's not the single mother, it's somebody who's like 350 pounds
Yeah.
or something like that. If it's
Yeah.
not that, it's like somebody who's more of a low life that's on drugs or,
Yeah.
you know, it's just a myriad of different things. So it's like, it's not favorable.
Yeah.
But that's just what happens when you lack the options. When you lack the
Yeah.
options or whatnot. But
Would it like what? Would it come to like? It's like you're almost doing them a favor. Pretty much, it's like, you know, hold on, I'm doing you a favor.
and guess what? No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah.
You almost always get punished for it.
Yeah.
Don't be Captain Save-A-Ho, as they would say.
Yeah.
Hey, I forgot who it was that said it. He's like, man, Jesus couldn't even save these hoes. So what makes you think you could?
But I just, you know, it's just like when I can understand it from a guy's point of view. Like, it's like, man, I can't get these baddies. I can't even get the average ones. I can't even get fives, you know?
And that's the thing. Most
Yeah.
dudes will be happy to even have an average chick. It's like, I don't need a baddie.
Yeah.
I just want just a regular
Yeah.
girl with no crazy baggage, no kids.
Yeah.
You know, she doesn't have to be the prettiest, most gorgeous thing in the world. She doesn't even have to be the most accommodating person in the world. Just decent, appreciative,
Yeah.
and no crazy red flags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that seems like a lot to ask for nowadays, doesn't it?
It does.
It seems
It
like a
does.
crazy high standard, but no, just asking somebody for
Yeah.
respect it shouldn't be a crazy thing.
It's not even just respect. It's respect without all the red flags.
Yeah.
It's all the red flags. You know what I mean? That's the thing. But, you know, damn, we talked about kids. I thought that was going to be a quick one. But I guess not. Now, we're going to go on to some other things, right? What are some of your opinions on, you know, let's say you're out with, like, when you're dating, what are some of your opinions on, like, certain things that girls would, like, try to do? Let's say, like, withholding, right? The ones that want to make you wait for, like, oh, the 3-date rule or a 3-month rule, you know, or just, like, you know, just whenever it feels right, or, you know, just some, you know, the typical stuff that you would hear. You know, just any reason, like you're just dating girls and you're just in a situation where you're not hooking up with the girl.
Do you want to answer that?
If I'm dating her and like, that's the case, I've never had that happen, but I
Really?
actually interpret that as a good sign. If that was like consistent with her history, but if it wasn't, and she was doing that because she had a lot of negative experiences in the past, and that would be a sign, like a red flag, because it would mean that like she has some trauma from that, and you don't. That's not something you want to deal with. So it's best just like cut into it and find out which one it is. Like, so have you been doing this for a long time, or are you doing this just because like you had a bad phase and you tried to like make a new life for yourself?
Now, like he would say, if you were to ask a question like that, do you really think she'd be honest about it?
No.
That's one thing you gotta realize, man. There's so many things to where it's like,
Don't date
you
a girl
really expect her to be honest about that,
Yeah.
though.
Well, don't date a girl that you can't trust. You know, like if you ask directly, you can tell if somebody's lying by looking into your eyes.
Okay, now, there was something you had said in regards to the, consistent with the history type thing of like withholding self. I will get back to that, but
when it comes to that, I just feel like you just have to test the waters. I mean, if there's chemistry, like first thing you want to do is like to do the touch test, right? Right? If you're to take her out to the movies, you roll out your hands, and if she goes with it, then you pass the test. As far as about the date rule and stuff like that.
the touch barrier.
The touch barrier. There you go. So I don't think there's like a number of dates to like a standard. I don't think there's like a standard for it. I just feel like if the chemistry is there, it's there. You'll have to go through the touch barrier first, and then from there, you work yourself up from there. So I don't think there's no one or test two. And even for girls that want to like save it on the 5th day or 4th day, I just think like it's their own. Either they don't want to show that that they're sexually active, or they just don't want to seem like, well, if I made it seem like I'm a hoe, on the first day of actually, getting it down, then, it'll probably leave that guy another impression. It's like, oh, she was easy. But, I just feel there's like a whole chemistry going on, so.
Yeah, and I personally, I'd be fine waiting. Like, it can even be seen as a sign of, like, self-respect, which is very important. Or self-accountability, which, like, if you have somebody that's trying to improve themselves, if you're trying to improve, that's going to stagnate you, which is what I've been saying. That it's important to keep in mind.
Now, I will kind of, put my 2 cents on that, because both y'all it kind of led to, one kind of led towards the other. So, here's the thing, right? We know that in 2023, most women are, if you're on a date with a woman, right, chances are she's dated many other people. All right, there's been many other folks that she's dated before she got to you, especially if she's like 25, 26, 27, and whatnot. So, with what you said, right? You said that, if she was consistent about it throughout her history, which is 100% true. I would 100% agree with the whole withholding thing if she did that. But let's be honest. Yeah, you already know. How many women actually hold the same standard for every single man they come across?
Oh, that's what you mean. I thought you meant like dating as in like you've been together for a while, not like.
No. I'm talking about like you when you're trying to date this woman and you're getting to the point to where you have not hooked up for the first time yet. I'm talking about from the first time you met her to the time that you finally managed to hook up with her for the first time, right? And that's why I respect my mom so much, because she holds every man to the exact same standard. She doesn't make different rules for different guys, right? This is the issue nowadays, right? When it comes to a lot of the women now, especially if they're used to dating, different men are held under different standards, and different men are put under different sets of rules, which is a huge, huge issue, right? Mm-hmm. And so we come to find that the fewer rules that you're put under, the more she's into you. So if you are getting put under all of these rules. She's not breaking rules for you, because we've heard the term break rules for alphas, make rules for betas, or whatnot, right? If she has been withholding this whole time, chances are that indicates low interest, right? It indicates low interest, because I guarantee you, if she's had any kind of history when it comes to dating, I can promise you that there has been, 1, 2, maybe however many guys that she's hooked up with under way less, that had to do way less under, way less rules and all this stuff. She was much more readily available for it. And not only that, but probably more enthusiastic about it too. So let's say you go with what she recommends about, you're getting to know her for a whole month and all that, and you finally get some from this chick, right? You think she's gonna be pulling out all the dance moves and all that, and really bouncing up and down and all this stuff, and really just having the time of her life? Or do you think she's just kind of gonna just sit there? You know what I mean? Like, oh, you already know. You already fucking know. No, but that's the thing. It's like, even if you comply, you comply and you finally get it, it's gonna be unenthusiastic. Chances are, right? And this is what shout outs to Mr. Rollo Tomasi. He always says, if you have to wait for sex, oftentimes the sex is not worth the wait, because it's not out of genuine desire, right? That's what you're gauging. You're not gauging how quickly she hooks up with you or whatnot. You want to know that she has high interest in you. And if she has high interest, the desire is where it needs to be for things to go really smoothly, for long-term relationships and stuff. Because if she doesn't have that high interest, she doesn't respect you like that.
Oh, yeah.
If she doesn't respect you like that, it's not going to work. Yeah. She can easily just toss you out without a second thought. She'll replace you. Well, like, if the interest isn't very high, you're replaceable to her. That's typically how that goes, right? And so there is a caveat to what you had said about the whole, because there are some dudes that will think, okay, she's a hoe if you hook up with her too quickly, right? Which would be the case if you're not that man, if you're not that guy for her. And most dudes know if they're that guy or not, right? Take me a couple of years ago, right? If I were to hook up with a woman pretty quickly, I would automatically think that, first off, I hook up with her first day. This is not the first time she's done this, right? This could have been the second time. This could have been the 17th time. But all I know is she's used to doing this because I managed to hook up with her on the first date. And I'm not that guy. My game is not that strong. I don't got the riz like some of these other guys. You know what I mean? So if someone like me who doesn't even have that kind of game, who's got a rinky-dink car, who isn't a Tyrone by any means, isn't a Chatter Tyrone by any means, and I still manage to hook up with you, something's definitely off. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if you're that man, then then that caveat. Now this is where the caveat begins. Actually, if you are that man, it's actually a little bit harder for you, because at that point you can't even determine. It's hard to determine, okay, does she just do this with everybody, or is she like this because I'm that man? You won't even be able to tell. Right? But, even those, honestly, you kind of can tell, because even the ones that you do hook up with on the first date, take me for example, like, the enthusiasm isn't there. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it may, but the difference between hooking up with somebody and it's enjoyable versus, oh, she's enthusiastic, right? She's really getting down there. She's looking to please you. She's open to anything with you, that type shit. You know what I mean? It's just a different dynamic. Right? So even with that, hooking up with a girl the first time, there's still some telltale signs where she's just really into you versus she does this all the time.
You want her to be more interested in you than her, pretty much.
You have to be. That's how it works.
That's how it happens.
So you have security or what? So you have security, or what's the idea behind that?
Well, it does give you good relationship security for sure, but the reason why it gives you good relationship security is because if you're more into her than she's into you, then at that point, that kind of sends almost an underlying message as to where you stand.
Obviously, that
right, and it almost, if you're more into her than she's into you, then you don't have an abundance mindset, right? You don't have an abundance mindset. Because those with an abundance mindset, yeah, they can like a girl and this and the third, but they're not going to start moving towards simp territory, right? If you like a girl more than she likes you, that's where you start entering simp territory. That's where you start putting her on the pedestal, kissing her ass, this, that, and the third. And of course, she's not going to respect that, right? If you treat her like a celebrity, she'll treat you like a fan. You treat her like a queen, she'll treat you like a peasant.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
That's kind of how that works. So
I think neither
if
way works well for a long-term relationship.
Not to mention, right? Because again, women are socially superior to guys, right? So they know if you're more into them than they're into you, right? If the dynamic is just different, right? They're more. They play more games. They pull more bullshit. They jerk you around a lot more. They make more excuses with you, this, that, and the third. If you're that guy, and she's into you, and she's really into you, there is no such thing as the word no. The word no doesn't exist. Things are very, very easy. Nothing is difficult. And she will move mountains. She will move mountains for you. She'll change her schedule. She'll move out of the country. She'll abandon her own fucking kids if you're that kind of guy. She'll abandon her own fucking kids for you and type of shit. She'll break you out of jail. Yeah. Bro, like, when a woman is into you, that is extremely powerful. If you... But so many men don't get to experience that, so they don't know what that looks like. You know what I mean? Most dudes are just happy to even get reciprocated attention. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's sad.
It is sad. But yeah, man, like the high interest, man, like the high interest has to be there. That's why if you see the woman 3 times, she hasn't hooked up with you yet, man, just cut your losses. It's not worth it. Unless you really have a sense that this woman is an actually reserved, conservative type woman, right? You know, she doesn't dress provocatively, and she's quiet, she's shy type shit. You know, the telltale signs that she's just not outside and she's not the confident. But if she's like this bubbly, confident type girl that seems to be more extroverted, there's no reason for it. There's no reason for it at that point. You know what I mean?
Extroverted as in what? As she...
I prefer a more introverted girl because the extroverted girls, man, the ones that are outgoing and this, that, and the third, have the bubbly personality, this outward personality type stuff, they pull in a lot of attention from guys. They seem to always be around guys and all this stuff. Yeah, it's not a good recipe.
It can make you insecure easily, I guess.
Yeah, because they just by virtue of their personality, they just invite so much attention.
Yeah.
And all that. So.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think last one, right? Now, let's say you're dating a woman, right? And let's say you find out she's dating. Like let's say you meet her. And she's dating around. And I'm not talking about maybe she's like hooking up with other dudes or whatnot. But let's just say last week she went on a date with a guy. And maybe she's still going on dates with him. And now you're in the picture. So she's on dates with you and this guy. She hasn't hooked up with any of them though. Like, what's your opinion on you dating a woman, right? And let's say you're just not the only one in the picture.
That's hell. You're going to be competing with dudes, and it's like that's not what you're supposed to be doing. It's not going to be like a real relationship. You're going to be tied up on like trying to beat somebody instead of trying to connect with somebody. And you won't be able to trust if that's going anywhere.
Oh, so she's already crossed off in your head in terms of a long-term relationship.
I mean, that's not necessarily like a bad thing for a long-term relationship. It's just going to be hard to even get to those beginning stages through that because it's really hard to get the right mind state through that. Unless you establish very early, like, look, like, let's talk for real. I want this to be exclusive. You need to not do this, and I won't do that either. Let's respect each other.
Okay, what about you?
Yeah, I feel like what they call that term, spinning plates. Is that what they I feel like girls do that too. I know guys do.
There's spinning plates, having rotations, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, you're pretty much going on multiple dates. Nothing, casual dates. There's nothing too serious. You're just testing out the dating pool and stuff like that. And once you find the right one, then you just
But let's say you like this girl though, but you knew that she was spinning plates, right? Would that play a factor as to whether or not you take her seriously or not?
That just means that
you're dating
multiple people.
Like, it's like a numbers game.
Doesn't mean she's necessarily hooking up with other dudes, but yeah.
So I feel like.
But she definitely could be hooking up with other dudes.
Yeah.
You'll never know. She won't tell you. She wouldn't tell you if she was.
Yeah.
No point in asking.
They man.
I know, it's something to think about. It's like, man, what if you like this girl? Would that really play a factor as whether or not you take her seriously?
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to long term, he brought it up too. I feel like if you're just casual dating and just spinning plates here and there, then most likely you're not gonna, out of those girls, you're not gonna establish anything long term. If it's like short term, have your fling and go as many dates as you want. But I feel like for guys, for girls, I mean, what's the reason of having multiple dates? I mean, I see a reason for guys to go on multiple dates just in case.
I know with some women, especially if you're on TikTok, a lot of them will say things like, you need to date multiple guys so you don't really get too attached to one guy, or you're not so to where they're not putting all of their eggs in one basket type thing.
That's no.
Yeah.
If that's their way of thinking.
To where it's like, I'm not trying to get too attached to this person type of thing.
You'll be attached to anybody and you'll be alone.
Imagine that.
Yeah, I feel that would be counterintuitive for them. I mean, I like just look at the the obvious. I mean, with females and males, I feel like males have a tougher time when it comes to dating.
Of course we do.
Yeah, and what's the whole point of women going on so many dates? You're
extracting things like, it could be resources, it could just be free experiences and stuff. Because when a woman's going on a date, chances are she's not paying.
Yeah.
She's not making the plans half the time. Half the time it's the guys making the plans, the guy's paying for it. She's just along for the ride. She's enjoying the experience.
I'd like to think it could be them trying to find the right guy, but
yeah, that's wishful thinking though. Yeah. Especially if they're under 25.
If you're exposed to all these free dates, naturally the benefits will consume you in some way.
That happens all the time.
Yeah.
That's why we have things like foodie dates and things like that. I think we've all been a foodie date here and there. I think we've all had where a woman goes on a date with a dude that she knows good and damn well she's not attracted to like that, but will go because she's bored, or or she's just hungry and just needs a meal, or that happens all the time, man.
Yeah, it's like what they call it, petty dating. Is that what they call it, petty dating?
I just call it they call it foodie calls.
Yeah, they're foodie calls, something like
funny.
that. It benefits women and it
does not benefit us at all.
No. Yeah.
Period. So my stance on this, right? When it comes to a woman, right? Yeah. Again, go back to the beginning, we value, restraint, discipline, the sexual purity, all that stuff, right? The thing about it is, right, when it comes, the reason why it's such a big deal for a woman to hook up with a guy, and why it's such a big deal for us to be cheated on, is because it should never be easy. It shouldn't be easy for a woman that's supposed to be bonded to a man to then weaken that bond or break that bond or breach that bond and bond with another man, because that woman releases that oxytocin and all that stuff. The bonding hormone when they sleep with a man. That's where the whole pair bonding thing comes in. We don't bond to a woman the way a woman bonds to a man. A woman bonds to a man through sex, right? That's typically how that shit works, and that's why, if a woman hooks up with another man, it's over, right? At that point, because we all know a woman can't serve two kings, right? Because when a woman is cheating, she is literally submitting to another man, right? That's the difference between a man cheating and a woman cheating, right? We conquer, women get conquered. We don't submit to shit. When they hook up with somebody, they're literally submitting to another man. Like, if you really think of it in that regard, then then it starts to make a lot more sense, especially when there's a lot more emotion tied to the sex when it comes to the woman, right? So that's why it hits a lot harder when the woman does it, because it should be a lot harder. Mm-hmm. By default, it's a lot harder for a woman to picture herself being with another man. That's why it's like it's over at that point. She lost so much respect for you to where she got to that point, it's done.
Yeah.
Right? So the thing about it is, when a woman cheats on you, what is happening, right? Like, if you just look at it just from a black and white, two-dimensional standpoint, right? What is happening when a woman cheats?
She loses all the respect for you.
Oh, but like just on a technical sense, like what is like when the acts are taking place, like just the situation, the situation of a woman cheating on a man.
She made the conscious decision to betray you.
She's with you, yes. So, in black and white terms, she is with this man, right? She's with him, but yet she was still able to get with this other guy. She was still able to get with another man while she is supposed to be with you, right? So, even when it comes to a casual setting, right? Let's say I'm trying to get to know you. If you are seeing another guy, if you're hooking up with another guy and I'm coming in, you're hooking up with me, that means that tells me just by default of your actions, you are physically capable of being with multiple guys at once when you should be pair bonded to one man. You shouldn't even be thinking about getting with another man. So the fact that you're able to do that, the fact that you're able to be hooking up with me and hooking up with another guy, that means, you are not emotionally tied to sex. Not like someone who's more sexually pure would be, right? You may no longer tie sex with emotion. You may be able to completely detach that, which at that point, I don't want you anyway, right? We don't want hoes, right? Men do not want hoes, period. Because hoes will ruin your life, they'll fuck up your life. Hoes will cheat on you, period, point blank. And, let's say you're not a hoe, though. If you are still able to have detached sex, if you're able to detach the sex from emotion, if you're still able to have the mindset of, it's not a big deal, it's just sex and all that stuff. If you're able to have that kind of mindset, I don't want you anyway by default, right? Because in my mind, if you're able to do that shit, then the threshold for you committing infidelity is way lower than what it needs to be, right? It goes back to what I was saying. At that point, I don't have relationship security with you, right? That means you're a bad bet for me, right? I don't have the confidence in you to where if I invest my resources into you, I'm not very confident that you can stay true to me and you won't cheat. At least the wall for cheating is way lower than somebody who attaches sex with emotion, right? If you attach sex with emotion and you have discipline and all these other things, the threshold for cheating is sky high, right? It's like a skyscraper, right? You don't want the threshold for cheating to be to the fucking ground, right? And there's all these things that you can look at, when it comes to how a woman her mindset on dating and sex and all that stuff, that gives you all the indicators as to maybe where that threshold for infidelity may be, especially if she does not see sex as a big deal and all that stuff. She's able to date around and hook up with all these other guys. It's like, it may not take much at all for you to step out. What will it take? I mean, I may not know, but, at least I know with this person, right? For this person to really that exercise that discipline and actually attaches sex with emotion that bonds to me and all that, I know there's going to be clear signs that maybe there's some unhappiness going on, and she's going to be more willing to work through things, right? She's going to be more willing to maybe talk and all that because she loves you. She loves you a lot, right? She's fucking bonded to you, right? She belongs to you at that point. Like, she's, she is yours at that point, right? Mm-hmm. Versus someone who is completely detached, that's not going to be the case.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With this person, maybe she can step out when she gets bored. Or maybe the first sign of trouble, her, because she can easily detach from you, maybe at the first sign of trouble, her answer is, okay, I'll just get another guy. No big deal. Because sex, hey, no big deal, right? You know what I mean? Just like all these things, like it all ties in to where it's like, I need to make sure the threshold is the height of a damn skyscraper. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like, if I'm over here just by virtue of your actions, hey, you're willing to, just the fact that you're willing to date me casually, even if there is no guy in the picture, right? Let's say I just come to you and I say, I'm not looking for anything serious. I'm just looking to have a good time. And then they're just down with it. It's like, okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That mentality right there, hey, it's just sex. That's the mentality. It's just sex and all that stuff. So it's like, if by default, if you're already agreeing to entering a casual relationship with me, your view on sex and emotion and all that stuff is not where it needs to be when it comes to a 20-year marriage and things like that. I already know. Can I trust you to be faithful to me for 3 to 5, maybe 7 years? Sure. I think a lot of people can really stay faithful to somebody for 5 years. I don't think that's too difficult, right? Yeah. But we're long-term thinkers, right? Especially if we're thinking about having kids with you, we don't want to invite multiple women into our lives when it comes to like family's sake. We want the woman that we want to have kids with, we only want one woman in our, to share our emotions with, one woman to raise a family with, one woman to have our kids with, one woman to grow old with, right? We don't want to do all this stuff with multiple chicks.
Oh.
We really don't, you know what I mean? It's like, and this is why when most dudes get divorced, that's it. Like, they're not getting married a second time. They're not. They may find another long-term relationship, but they're definitely not getting married again. They ain't having no more kids by another woman thing.
Is it because they're tired of it, or
it's just like the sheer investment and the emotions that they poured into the previous woman, right? When we gave her the vacations and we bought her the house and bought her the car and all this stuff. Like, we literally put our stock investment into this woman. We literally just invested ass loads of our time, effort, energy, going out there in the hot sun, breaking our backs to invest into this woman that we're breaking our backs for. Yeah. Quite literally, mentally, and all that stuff, for a woman to then, that same chick to go out there and just submit to another man and all that stuff. It's like, yeah, that does something to a man that'll break him, and it's like, I ain't doing that shit again. Never again. Yeah. It's like, hey, you get one fucking time to burn us. You get one time. Now some men are idiots and they'll get married 3 or 4 times. It is what it is.
Holding on that string of hope.
Yeah, the idealism and all that, but no, but this is what I was saying. It's just like, so it's like all of these things that we look at all of this shit because it's like, I don't want to sit here and end up at year 10 or year 15 and she's bored and she starts sniffing around, or she's easily influenced by a new group of girlfriends that are hoes and all that stuff, or new coworkers coming in and she's hanging out with divorced coworkers and shit. You know what I mean? It's just like, man, this is why we screen so goddamn hard and all that shit. Especially if we already have kids with you, or we're really thinking about having kids, and we're thinking about putting that ring on the finger, man. We do a serious screening process, and a big part of that is all this shit to where it's like, where is the bar for your infidelity? Is it to the floor or is it to the stratosphere? I want the bar for infidelity to be to the goddamn stratosphere.
Yeah.
And even just but so many dudes overlook certain things. Maybe they don't know what to look for, but they overlook even just simple things as, hey, this woman that barely knows you is perfectly just willing to enter into a casual relationship with you. If she's willing to enter a casual relationship with you, she's done with him, she's done with him, she's done with him.
Yeah,
this and the third. It's like, when you look at that, it's like, does it sound like somebody who will stick with me for the long term through thick and thin?
Yeah.
When problems arise,
Ride and die chick.
hey, is she gonna stay? You know what I mean? It's like, chances I don't have the confidence that she will, because that threshold is not where it needed to be. You know what I mean? So in essence, right, a woman that is very, very, this is why a woman that's very hard to get is so valued, right? This is why a woman that is extremely hard to get with, and not because of a lack of desire, but just because, period, she is just hard to get with. It doesn't matter what kind of man you are. If she's hard to get with, that is why it's so valued, because the problem with easy women, if it's easy for you to obtain her, she's easily obtained by other people as well. If you can easily grab her, she can easily be taken.
Easily lost, yeah.
Exactly, and we don't want that. We do value this. Everybody values what they work for, but we don't. One thing we don't want to do, we don't want to work for
the opposite,
for a woman that has.
Yeah.
That has low interest, especially if other men didn't have to work for it.
So,
see, that's what you don't want.
Yeah. So, like, how would you, you say you want to measure the purity, the threshold of infidelity and stuff like that, and those are the women that are like super valuable. How do you know that woman is not
putting up an act?
Put up in an act. How would you separate her from either she's because of her value, of her purity, waiting for sex, or how do you know if
check her social media, pay attention to her family, pay attention to the type of friends she hangs out with, pay attention to the kind of media she consumes. So it's like, yeah, they can put on an act, but all of the things around them can really peer a, you can kind of see and just take a look as to, even just so much as the lifestyle she's living, right? You know what I mean? There's just certain things to where it just kind of sticks out to you, right? Oh, she's got this thing going on.